The immigrant visa is one where you have 3 or 5 separate categories whereby the individual can pursue it. At the end of the day, when you get the green card approved, it'll be a green card just like anybody else's. But they have these categories whereby one can pursue his visa. Each of the categories entails time frames. They have time. Each of the categories has times within them that it takes to acquire permanent residence. There's a quota system, and it's published every month, the Visa Bulletin, and the Visa Bulletin essentially lets one know where they are in the process. For instance, when you start a petition, you're issued a priority date, and your date is based on when you first started your process. That priority date will determine how long it will take in some of the categories to get your immigrant visa, your green card, so to speak. Under the EB1 category, however, traditionally it's always been current, meaning that it doesn't matter when your priority date is, because there's no waiting for the visa to be available. As soon as you finish the process, you're issued the green card. And that's why so many people want to be in the EB1 category. The EB1 category is typically for people who have extraordinary ability, or for multinational executives of international companies, such as the people who qualify for L1As. They can convert their green card through the EB1 category, which is much faster than any of the other categories. The EB2 category is the category designated for people who have at least a master's level of education and who are pursuing jobs that require at least a master's level of education. It would be a master's level of education or a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of progressively responsible experience. When they say progressively responsible experience, you need to show that in every year you moved up in your field, and you've finally reached the point where you're at a job that typically requires somebody with a master's level of education, but they've already put you in that position because you already have a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of progressively responsible experience, or the equivalent to a master's level of education. So that's the EB2 category. The EB2 category is fairly quick, depending on the country you're from. If you're not from one of the oversubscribed countries, such as India or China, the EB2 category is just like the EB1 category, except the process itself is a little bit longer. But there's no waiting around. You don't have to wait for the Visa Bulletin to come up and figure out when your priority date is to determine where you are with respect to having a visa made available to you. So the EB2 category is a category that's highly sought after by a lot of professional workers in the United States, even if they don't have master's degrees. If they have a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of progressively responsible experience, they almost always want to go to the EB2 category because it's much faster. The third category, the EB3 category, that's for people with at least 2 years of experience in a particular field, up to a bachelor's degree plus 2 years of experience. These types of EB3 categories are usually backed up. You have to wait on your priority date. So when you're issued a priority date, you have to keep track of, every month to figure out when a visa is available to you. Each month the bulletin comes out and it lets you know which priority dates are current at this moment. The EB3 category is usually a few years behind, so you're going to have at least a few years to wait for a visa to be made available to you. Plus you have to wait out the process of actually petitioning for the green card. We've been doing these for more than 10 years. I can usually look at a case and make a determination as to whether or not I can get them into the EB2 category or the EB1 for that matter. If they're usually young and they just have a bachelor's degree and less than 5 years of experience, we usually always have to go for the EB3 category, unless it looks like it might behoove them to wait it out and get some more experience and pursue the EB2. So I make those determinations on a case-by-case basis. That's typically what I'll do. I'll have a consultation with a client. I'll review his or her credentials. I'll look at the job they're pursuing and make a determination as to what would be the best strategy going forward for them to pursue permanent residence.